The headlines for this hour on VTV News. National Assembly discusses draft law on identity. Vietnam's national brand value reaches $431 billion. In our war news, UN calls for immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. During the sixth session of the 15th Tenor National Assembly on Wednesday morning, members of the National Assembly discussed different aspects of the draft law on identity. More on the following story.
National Assembly deputies support renaming the law on citizen identity to the law on identity and changing citizen identification cards to simpler ones. This change aims to provide comprehensive coverage, including Vietnamese citizens and individuals of Vietnamese origin with undetermined nationality.
I believe that the name of the draft law accurately captures the essence of identity verification, providing clarity and non-discrimination. It aligns with our current requirement to manage identification comprehensively throughout society, ensuring inclusivity and upholding both human rights and citizens' rights as defined by the law.
Some deputies believe that the draft law should broaden the categories of individuals eligible for ID certificates and take into account the authority of agencies responsible for issuing ID cards.
I propose expanding the issuance of identification certificates to non-citizens who reside within Vietnamese territory. This expansion aims to establish an effective management framework for this group.
The standard process, which takes only 7 days, is considered too short. In practice, it involves local procedures, followed by transfer to the police, and then returning the documents to the local level before issuing them to the citizens. However, this extended workflow takes more than 7 days.
Also on Wednesday morning, the National Assembly conducted a vote of confidence for 44 individuals holding positions elected or approved by the National Assembly. The vote was conducted through a secret ballot. The results of the vote will be announced later this afternoon.
Prime Minister Phie has recently issued an official telegram emphasizing the need to continue implementing solutions for the development of a safe, healthy, and sustainable real estate market. The Prime Minister has called on ministry branches and localities to proactively and effectively carry out the tasks and solutions assigned by the government and the Prime Minister. The Minister of Construction is required to closely coordinate with the National Assembly's committees to finalize the draft law on housing amended and the draft law on real estate business amended for submissions to the National Assembly for consideration and approval. Additionally, efforts should be made to expedite the implementation of the project aimed at constructing at least 1 million social housing apartments. The Prime Minister has tasked the Governor of the State Bank with directing commercial banks to facilitate real estate credit lending, reduce costs to lower interest rate, and further streamline administrative procedures to enhance access to credit capital for businesses and home buyers. According to a report by Brand Finance, the world's leading brand valuation consulting company, Vietnam's national brand value has increased by 11% in 2022 from $388 billion to $431 billion, representing a one-level increase. Vietnam now ranked 32nd out of the top 100 strong national brands in the world. Vietnam's growth rate in national brand value continues to be seen as a positive aspect of the global development of national brands. It holds the record for the highest value growth among national brands worldwide from 2019 to 2022, with a remarkable increase of 74% in 2019. Vietnam's national brand was valued at only $274 billion by Brand Finance. This significant increase in brand values reflects Vietnam's reputation as a secure and stable investment destination, prompting many manufacturers to consider relocating their operations to Vietnam. In area with significant specialty coffee production, focusing on specialized farming practices and establishing strong supply chain linkages are crucial for increasing exports. Sơn La Coffee has achieved success by successfully exporting to 20 international markets at premium prices. Businesses and cooperatives are expanding their collaboration with farmers to capture a larger share of the export market.
The newly formed Yên Bình Coffee Cooperative, which consists of 33 members and cultivates nearly 30 hectares of coffee, prioritizes the production of organic coffee. To ensure stable output, the cooperative has established an early partnership with Minh Tiến Group.
In previous years, local farmers often faced difficulties obtaining fair prices for their coffee and were vulnerable to price pressures. However, it is anticipated that in the upcoming year, coffee output will be more stable and prices will be more reliably guaranteed.
Since 2010, this business has collaborated with approximately 4,000 coffee-growing households in Sơn La province. These partnerships involve providing technical guidance to farmers to help them meet higher coffee production standards.
During the process, the company has also entered into purchasing contracts with local farmers to ensure a steady supply of products from them.
The company produces premium Blue Sơn La coffee. It actively collaborates with local farmers to create a sustainable source of raw materials while also providing technical advice and skill development.
Arabica coffee is primarily grown in districts such as Mai Sơn, Thuận Châu, Sốp Cộp, Yên Châu, and Sơn La City. The coffee producing region in Sơn La received geographical indication certification in 2017. A well-connected value chain expected to stabilize coffee prices with an anticipated range of approximately 50 cents per kilogram this year.
According to the Departments of Housing and Real Estate Market Management, Ministry of Construction, the number of completed commercial housing projects in the third quarter has increased by 300% compared to the second quarter. The land and apartment segment have also shown a strong recovery in transaction searches, with increasing supply from new projects. In total, 21 commercial housing development projects have been completed, resulting in over 7,600 apartments. Additionally, there are currently over 860 projects under construction with more than 440,000 units, representing an increase of nearly 107% compared to the previous quarter. Resolution 98 of the National Assembly has granted the Ho Chi Minh City authorities to apply Build, Operate, Transfer or BOT contract to existing highway projects and carry out investment projects under Build, Transfer or BT contracts with money from the city budget. If applied for quickly, the BT investment form can help redeploy large projects that have been delayed for years in Ho Chi Minh City.
With the Resolution 98 coming into effect, multiple BT investment projects in Ho Chi Minh City that have been delayed can get additional capital from the city budget. This will solve a lot of problems, as these projects have long been financial burdens to businesses and the government and wasting social resources.
Bidding must be held to find the right investors for these BT projects. Land auctioning must be an indispensable part of the bidding process because BT projects are essentially exchanging land for infrastructure.
In the current context where public investment is promoted, BT projects can facilitate the activities of the private sector, which faces a lot of difficulties at the moment.
Currently, the City Department of Transport is working to review and propose about 10 BT projects to invite investors from the private sector. And so, besides BOT, we have more resources from society through this investment form to accelerate the completion of the city's transportation system.
In mid-September 2023, a road running parallel to the Ho Chi Minh City, Long Phaing, Jojay Expressway was open to traffic. This is a rare BT project in Ho Chi Minh City that was reignited. This highway project reduces traffic congestion in the area.
And before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at foreign exchange rate for today, October 25th. Coming up next on VTV News, promoting employment opportunities to alleviate poverty. A new farming method transforms farmers' lives during flood season. The bodies of all 4 tourists who died in a flood in the tourist area of Lâm Đồng were found on Tuesday afternoon. This group of tourists had gone to Kulan village tourist area in Lâm Đồng province using a jeep service to travel across streams when the incident occurred. At the time of the incident, there was no heavy rain in the area, their water was not too deep, and the flash flood came unexpectedly. Local authorities immediately mobilized dozens of people, vehicles, and sniffer dogs to the rescue scene. Lâm Đồng is expected to experience thunderstorms on Wednesday afternoon and evening, so people should be cautious of flash floods in streams and landslides on hillsides. In many rural and mountainous areas, people mainly rely on self-sufficiency for their livelihoods as there is a lack of developed commodity market. Consequently, there is a shortage of stable employment opportunities and income. And to tackle this issue, it is essential to generate more quality jobs that can increase income and achieve long-term poverty reduction.
While families who transitioned to growing green rice flakes experienced a 30% increase in their income compared to traditional rice farming. In this local area, production teams have formed, providing regular employment and income for many residents.
Of course, it will be more challenging, but it will improve our income and contribute to the development of our economic status.
In the upcoming years, Bagat aims to broaden its range of agricultural products in order to create more employment opportunities for its residents.
When local residents produce a product, there is a need for buyers to come and purchase it. Our focus will be on adding value to these products.
The province is also providing support for local participation in production and trade, while also encouraging businesses to invest in its thriving agricultural sector.
Households need to collaborate and form linkages in order to produce. By establishing sustainable livelihood models like this, people can create stable output, generate income, and enhance effectiveness in reducing poverty.
But I think there is more that can be done, particularly in terms of vocational education, improving vocational education, but in particular achieving stronger linkages between companies, between particularly private companies and vocational training.
Quality employment is crucial for improving living standards and reducing poverty. Despite not being wealthy, the people in the mountainous region of Bagat now lead more secure and fulfilling lives.
It is likely that saltwater intrusions in the Mekong Delta will begin in mid or late December. Not only will it arrive earlier, but the level will also be more severe than average for many years. Over 43,000 hectares of fruit trees in certain provinces of the Mekong Delta will be affected, along with 38,000 hectares of rice and shrimp in Kiên Giang. Additionally, Cà Mau is at risk of water shortage. Experts recommend that localities start storing fresh water early for use throughout the dry season. It is also advised to sow the winter-spring crops of 2023-2024 early, using short-term rice varieties. The Cà Mau Peninsula area should construct temporary dams and dredge canals before the rainy season ends. People can take advantage of rainy days to store water. On Wednesday afternoon, there will be more rain in the southwest region, including An Giang, Đồng Tháp, Cần Thơ, and Kiên Giang provinces, with some areas experiencing rainfall exceeding 50 millimeters. Drought and saltwater intrusions have led to water shortages in the Mekong Delta, severely impacting thousands of hectares of fruit and vegetable area in the region. And to assist local farmers in overcoming these difficulties, many localities have implemented large-scale irrigation projects. The projects aim to decrease the salinization of water resources and support agricultural productions. A report from Tiền Giang province.
The Nguyễn Tấn Thành Sluice Gate, the second largest project in the Mekong Delta, is currently under construction. Its purpose is to prevent saltwater intrusion and store fresh water. Over 45% of the construction work has been finished. The management board of the Sluice Gate project reports that the work is progressing 4 months ahead of schedule and is expected to be completed by February next year.
We have made efforts to maintain the schedule of our construction project in order to meet important phase completion deadlines. Our objective is to minimize the negative effects of salinity on agricultural production, prevent saltwater intrusion into water plants, and ensure a stable water supply for Mid-Ho City.
Tiền Giang is one of the provinces in the Mekong Delta that has been severely affected. Authorities are currently expediting the construction of a dike system to prevent salinity intrusion and store fresh water in canals and ditches.
Thanks to the local authorities' investment in building a dike system around 7 canals, durian farmers now feel more secure in their agricultural production.
5 other projects are currently in progress, with their initial construction phase completed. These sluice gates will be temporarily operated in the event of increased salinity levels in the Tiền River.
Sheet piles will be installed at the first sections of the sluice gate system. A steel dam will also be constructed to prevent saltwater intrusion in the event that the sluice gate project fails to meet the deadline.
The first phase of sluice gate construction, which aims to prevent salinity and store fresh water, has been completed. With water shortages no longer a major concern, durian farmers are hopeful that their crops will be protected and will thrive during the dry season.
During the rainy season in central Vietnam, prolonged heavy rains often lead to severe floods. As a result, local farmers experience significant crop damage. And to support agriculture productions, authorities have assisted farmers in adopting new farming methods such as breeding new varieties of animals and plants. A report from Hà Tĩnh province.
Several years ago, this area was a large rice field. However, during the rainy season, it was submerged and destroyed by flooding. Since men switched from crop farming to shrimp farming, the landscape of this land has changed.
I have adopted effective shrimp farming techniques. I am able to earn more than 20 times the profit I earned from growing rice.
Local farmers, driven by strong will and determination, have successfully transformed this area into arable land. Chives, once a humble homegrown plant, have now emerged as a profitable crop that farmers cultivate during the rainy season.
In the past, numerous local farmers abandoned their homes in rural areas. However, with the introduction of new farming models, they have been able to generate significant income from their crops and support a family of 4 or 5 people.
Local officers visited each household and convinced farmers to adopt new farming methods and sustainable practices to enhance agricultural productivity. For instance, farmers were instructed to utilize straw and grass as natural insect barriers for their crops.
The application of new farming techniques is dependent on environmental factors. Additionally, farmers are advised to cultivate high-yield and profitable crops.
Thanks to effective farming models, farmers in the central region have been able to maintain their livelihoods and earn a stable income for their families. By turning the impossible into the possible, farmers have transformed their lives.
The Chemical Command under the Ministry of Defense on Tuesday announced the completion of dioxin cleanup at Aso Airport in A Lưới District, the central province of Thừa Thiên Huế. The project on the work was approved by the Ministry of Defense in March 2020 at a cost of $3 million from the state budget. The project covered mine clearance on an area of more than 9 hectares and collections and treatments of dioxin-contaminated soil. The Chemical Command has planted trees and handed over the clear land to the locality. Coming up next in our World News, United Nations call for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And EU steps up new mechanism to stave off medicine shortages. The United Nations Security Council convened on Tuesday at UN headquarters in New York for its quarterly open debate on the ongoing conflict in the Gaza Strip. Representatives from 84 member states and observers participated in the meeting, aiming to find peaceful solutions to resolve the conflict.
At the meeting, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate ceasefire to end epic suffering in the Gaza Strip. He pleaded for civilians to be protected in the conflict.
The situation in the Middle East is growing more dire by the hour. Thankfully, some humanitarian relief is finally getting into Gaza. Make the delivery of aid easier and safer, and facilitate the release of hostages. I reiterate my appeal for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has pledged to coordinate with the international community in order to find a diplomatic solution to put an end to the ongoing conflict.
Palestinian civilians must be protected. We continue to coordinate closely with Egypt, Israel, and partners across the region, as well as with the United Nations, to build mechanisms that will enable sustained humanitarian assistance to flow to civilians in Gaza, without benefiting Hamas or any other terrorist group.
According to health authorities in Gaza, Israeli airstrikes have resulted in the deaths of over 5,700 people since the conflict began on October 7th. Meanwhile, Israel has reported at least 1,400 deaths and over 220 people kidnapped.
Also at the UN meeting, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres highlighted the significant loss of civilian lives on both sides of the conflict, particularly in Gaza, where over 5,000 people have died. The Secretary-General called on all parties to uphold their obligations under international humanitarian law to protect civilians and civil infrastructure. Ambassador Đặng Hoàng Giang, head of the permanent missions of Vietnam to the UN, strongly condemned all attacks targeting civilians and civil infrastructure. The ambassador urged all sides to immediately cease fire, respect international humanitarian law, and facilitate the timely implementation of humanitarian relief activities.
We call for an immediate ceasefire. All violence must stop now.
The European Commission has introduced several short-term measures to prevent medicine shortages during the upcoming winter and beyond. These measures serve as a temporary solution. One important short-term action is the establishment of the voluntary mechanisms among member states to address medicine shortages across the bloc during the winter season. This scheme allows member states to communicate their needs for specific medicines that are currently in short supply to other member states. Through this communication, member states can identify available stock that can be redistributed. Following the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent medicine shortages caused by supply chain issues, the Commission proposed the first major reform of its pharmaceutical regulations in April. The Commission aims to strengthen unity in the field of health through this reform. According to a forecast by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Germany's nominal gross domestic product GDP is expected to surpass that of Japan this year. The weak yen and inflation in Europe are contributing factors, pushing up the value of Germany's GDP in US dollar terms. The report predicts that Japan's nominal GDP will decrease by 0.2% year-on-year to $4.23 trillion in 2023, while Germany's GDP is forecast to grow by 8.4% to $442 trillion. As a result, the German economy is projected to become the second largest in the world, trailing only behind the economies of the United States and China. The average GDP per person in Germany is estimated to be over $52,000 compared to nearly $34,000 in Japan. The IMF also suggests that Japan's economic ranking could further decline in the coming years, potentially slipping to become the world's fifth largest economy between 2026 and 2028. Dozens of U.S. states are suing Meta platforms and its Instagram unit, accusing them of fueling a youth mental health crisis by making their social media platform addictive. In a complaint filed on Tuesday, the attorney generals of 33 states, including California and New York, said Meta repeatedly mails the public about the dangers of its platform and knowingly induce young children and teenagers into addictive and compulsive social media use. The lawsuit also claims that Meta has harnessed powerful and unprecedented technologies to entice, engage, and ultimately ensnare youth and teens. Its motive is to profit and is seeking to maximize its financial gains. In a statement, Meta said it shared the attorney general's commitments to providing teens with safe and positive experiences online. And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's all the news for today. To rewatch the program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.